have been vicious gang members, murderers, rapists, and pedophiles. Innocent Americans like Laken Riley, Jocelyn Nungray, Rachel Morin, and many others have been murdered because of Joe Biden's open border. President Trump made a promise to the American people, to all of you and your audiences, to end the carnage and keep our country safe. And he has overwhelmingly delivered on that promise. He immediately declared a national emergency on the southern border, deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion, and ended reckless catch and release policies. And as a result, between the inauguration and April 1st of this month, only 9 illegal aliens were released into the United States of America. This is a staggering 99.99% decrease from more than the 184,000 illegal aliens who were released into the country under Joe Biden during that same period last year. You can't get much better than 99.99% decrease. Total attempted illegal crossings at the southwest border hit a record low in February, only to fall to another record low again last month in March. President Trump signed the Laken Riley Act into law, requiring illegal aliens arrested or charged with theft or violence to be detained. And he reestablished the successful Remain in Mexico policy from his first term. The president has also restarted construction of his signature border wall. More than 85 miles have been built and are in various stages of construction and planning. He designated cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, invoked the Alien Enemies Act to apprehend, detain, and remove these massive threats who have flooded our country. And the Trump administration, as you heard from our border czar Tom Homan earlier today, is working literally 24/7 around the clock to successfully arrest and deport illegal criminals and foreign terrorists from our communities, your communities. We're in the beginning stages of carrying out the largest deportation campaign in American history. And despite the legacy media's fear-mongering and lies about this, we will continue with these successful operations because we know that's what the American people are expecting from this president, and that's why they overwhelmingly reelected him to this office. Over the past weekend, it was announced Operation Tidal Wave was a joint effort in ICE Miami and Florida law enforcement agencies. Nearly 800 illegal aliens were arrested during the first 4 days alone. I don't know if we have any Floridians in here, but you're welcome. Operation Tidal Wave is a preview of what is to come around the country. Large-scale operations employing our state and local law enforcement partners to get criminal aliens off our streets. And we will not apologize for this. This is the first of its kind multi-agency immigration enforcement operation coordinated by ICE with federal partners. And this multi-day operation has so far resulted in nearly 800 illegal aliens apprehended in 4 days, including MS-13 murderers, rapists, drug traffickers, and human rights abuses. So, safe to say President Trump made a promise to all of you, your audiences, and the American public to secure our nation's borders. He has overwhelmingly delivered on that promise. And you will see the legacy media has nitpicked stories to try to drum up sympathy for people who broke our nation's laws. This White House has sympathy for American citizens, for law-abiding families who are doing what's right, who came here the right way. That includes legal immigrants who have come to this country, paid their dues, waited their turn, and are now being cheated and ripped off were being cheated and ripped off by the previous administration. We are putting Americans first every day, and we applaud the ICE agents and Border Patrol agents who are on the ground doing this important work. That's just the border. Of course, the president has been working incredibly hard to unleash the might of our economy here at home. He's in the process of negotiating fair trade deals abroad with many countries around the world who have come to the table because the president is using the leverage of this office of the United States of America to leverage our economic might and to cut good trade deals. You also look at what's happening on the world stage when it comes to foreign policy. The president has put the world on notice. They all understand that we have a commander-in-chief in the Oval Office who is going to put America and our troops first, who's going to do what's right for our country, our nation, our people, even if that means making tough decisions. And we are closer today to a peace deal in Russia and Ukraine, certainly than we were when we took office on January 20th. If you look at the situation in the Middle East, Israel has never had a stronger friend than they do right now in the Oval Office with President Trump. We've had more than 75 hostages who have returned home from around the world or wrongfully detained individuals. You can only do that if you have a president who's unafraid to use the leverage of the United States. So there are many accomplishments to talk about this week. I haven't even mentioned the restoring common sense effort of this administration to get men out of women's sports, to root out DEI and waste, fraud, and abuse from our federal bureaucracy. The president has done so much in such little time, and we're working very hard here every day. We appreciate all that you do on social media to push what the president is saying, but also sometimes question it. And we relish independent journalism. And I hope you all have seen the president, myself, anybody in this administration. We are unafraid to take questions. This has truly been the most transparent and accessible presidency in American history. So with that, let's kick it off. And I'm happy to take your question first, Aaron.
Having us.
Sure.
And I can attest, in Florida, my Uber drivers finally speak English again, so thank you for that. But my question for you is, what are the administration's plans for those who defy the executive orders? Most notably, on my mind, are the ones related to what some would call trans men. I would call men masquerading as trans women, which are men masquerading as girls in girls' schools.
Sure. Obey federal law, or you will be prosecuted. Obey federal law, and you could see your federal funding cut. Whether you are a college or a university, we have seen the president, again, using the leverage of this administration and to negotiate deals with some of the biggest colleges and universities in this country. And if they don't want to come to the negotiating table to apologize for the federal laws they have broken, to apologize for allowing Jewish American students on our nation's campuses to be unlawfully bullied and harassed, then there's going to be consequences for that illegal behavior. Same thing with men in women's sports. The president signed a very strong executive order, making it the policy of the United States federal government that there are only two sexes, male and female, and we are not going to tolerate biological men competing in sports or impeding in private spaces for women like myself or you. And we've seen states defy this federal order. You've seen the state of Maine, unfortunately, because of their liberal governor, who nobody in that state disagrees with, I will add, being from New England, I can attest to that. People are incredibly fed up with her trying to oppose this common sense message. You've seen young women who have had to go on television to plead with their governor, please stop letting men play against me in sports. We shouldn't live in a country where that even has to happen. The president deeply understands that. That's why he signed that EO. And when Maine decided not to follow it, the Department of Justice sued them. So anyone who disobeys federal law will be either prosecuted, sued, or say goodbye to your federal funding. Sure. How about to the back in the red tie?
Hi. One of my main questions is, when will the border wall be completed? Because it's been talked about for a very long time, and a lot of people want to know when can we expect that to be done.
Sure. I don't have an official timeline for you, but certainly it's a priority of the administration. The president has talked about this for years, right? It was his signature campaign promise dating back to 2016. People laughed at him when he originally brought this idea up, but now the whole world recognizes a border wall is effective. It's a necessary means to secure your nation's territorial borders. Democrats like to have borders outside of their homes, or walls outside of their homes, for a reason, because they know it repels invaders. And that's why the president wants to do that at the southern border. There has been more than 85 miles built just since January 20th. It's obviously the goal of this administration to build as much border wall as we possibly can. And we need Congress's help to do that. We need more federal funding. The president's working closely with Speaker Johnson and Senate Majority Leader Thune to pass a solid reconciliation package that not only provides more funding for our ICE agents and Border Patrol agents on the ground, but to continue construction of that border wall as well. Sure. Go ahead.
Madam Leavitt, congratulations on this endeavour to bring in new media. And can I start by thanking you for including the British? And I'm deeply proud to be the only British representative here. I hope at future events you find it. Thank you. I've got two questions, if I may be so bold, regarding my little old country. First and foremost, it's regarding trade deals. So your Vice President Vance, said, no free speech, no deal. The British business secretary, name is Jonathan Reynolds, has said that in the trade talks with the Commerce Department, the US Commerce Department, there has been no material, that free speech has been not a material factor in negotiation. So my first question is it the case that free speech is no longer part of negotiation? And my second question, if I may, is in Britain, we have had over a quarter of a million people issued non-crime hate incidents. As we speak, there are people in prison for quite literally reposting memes. We have extensive prison sentences and for tweets, social media posts, and general free speech issues. Would the Trump administration consider political asylum for British citizens in such a situation?
Well, to your latter question, it's a very good one. I have not heard that proposed to the president, nor have I spoken to him about that idea, but I certainly can and talk to our national security team and see if it's something the administration would entertain.
Yes, please.
To your first question about free speech in the United Kingdom, the vice president has been incredibly outspoken about this for good reason. And the president has spoken about this as well directly with your prime minister when he was here for a visit to the White House. So it remains a critical endeavor of ours to show the Brits and your country, which we love and admire, about the First Amendment and the importance of free speech in a sovereign nation. As for the trade talks, I understand they are moving in a very positive way with the United Kingdom. I don't want to get ahead of the president or our trade team and how those negotiations are going, but I have heard they've been very positive and productive with the United Kingdom. And I will say the president always, both publicly and privately, speaks incredibly highly of your country. He has a good relationship with your prime minister, though they disagree on domestic policy issues. I've witnessed the camaraderie between them firsthand in the Oval Office, and there is a deep mutual respect between our two countries that certainly the president upholds. You're welcome. Mr. Spicer, it's good to see you here. My predecessor.
Yeah, well, you know, I had to swing by and say hi. Thank you for doing this. I think it's marvelous what you guys have done to